Hi everyone, it's Clint Rippon, President of the Williamstown Football Club. I hope that everyone's safe and well and looking after one another during these difficult times. The COVID-19 virus has clearly changed all our lives in a number of ways. But from a Williamstown Football Club perspective, we're not going to let that change the way that we continue to interact with you, our members, and our key stakeholders. So we'll be providing updates like this on a regular basis, giving you insight and access to our club and a lot of the key decisions that we're having to make during this time. The COVID-19 virus has clearly had a devastating impact on the AFL as they derive the majority of their revenues from media rights, gate takings and sponsorship. So this impact has really led to them being bailed out by ANZ and National Australia banks as they've mortgaged Marvel Stadium to the tune of about $600 million. Now the banks have clearly put some tight covenants and restrictions on how they use those monies, and that has filtered down to AFL clubs who want to access that from the AFL. So we're really aware of the system in general has had to shed a lot of costs, and there will be further to come from what we're reading in the press. This isn't a great situation for football in general. We all need a healthy and financial sustainable AFL competition to fund second tier football, to fund community football and grassroots junior football. So what does this mean from a VFL and VFLW perspective? Well, clearly, as we've all seen, our seasons have been postponed until May 31. However, this is just a review date at this stage, and the AFL will assess whether it's safe for our players to resume a competition. From a board perspective, we're planning for two scenarios. One is that the season may get underway around the June-July time period. What that looks like and how many games and where we play and all those details are unknown at this stage. The second scenario is that a season actually doesn't get underway at all. If this season doesn't go ahead, clearly that would be a disappointing outcome for all parties involved. However, we need to prioritise the health and safety of our people first and foremost. Well, firstly, our footballing programs have both been postponed. Our players have been given individual fitness programs to ensure that they maintain a high level of fitness, and they're also connecting with each other via social media and things like Zoom and Microsoft Teams. Secondly, it's severely impacted the club's business operations. Our business has 4 or 5 key revenue streams. The first one is the Seagulls Nest, which is our gaming venue. Secondly, we've got the Seaview Event Centre, which is our function centre. We have our membership and sponsorship revenues. And finally, we have our Future Fund, which is a share portfolio that acts much like our individual super funds do, investing for later on down the track. Seaview Event Centre and Seagulls Nest have clearly been closed, and our membership and sponsorship lines have been impacted by the season being postponed. And our Future Fund, it's been impacted by the share market sell-off that we've all known in recent times as well. So as a board and an executive team, we had to sit down and work out how we could reduce costs to maintain our club's profitability during this period of time. And unfortunately, what that's led to is reducing our staffing costs, with many of our staff being stood down. This is a really difficult decision and one which we grappled with. However, what we've tried to do is make sure we've looked after our people whilst also balancing that against the long-term viability of our football club so that it's here in another 156 years. In fact, our CEO and our General Manager of Marketing Commercial are still working extremely hard at the moment, along with a handful of casual employees. They're working on projects that are not footballing related at this stage. However, there are a number of things that our club is still working through to ensure that we maintain our role as a leader in the VFL and VFLW competitions. Our club remains in a really healthy financial position with a strong cash balance and the support of our Future Fund share portfolio, although the value has been impacted in recent times with the recent sell-off in the share market. So overall, we've got those two strong levers, but that doesn't mean that prudent ongoing financial management is required and the ongoing support of our members and our sponsors. To give you an example, the business costs of running our club on a reduced basis between now and October this year is roughly $500,000. So clearly that's still a lot of money. So if you factor beyond that point in time, if the season was going ahead in April 2021, we'd have further footballing and business costs to get our club through that point in time as well. So it just highlights how closely we need to watch our finances and how much support we still need on an ongoing basis from our members and our sponsors. Our members and our sponsors are the lifeblood of our club. I've been really heartened in recent days to see a number of members signing up as a show of support. Thank you very much. For those members that have lapsed from last year that haven't re-signed for this year, if you can afford to do so, we would greatly appreciate your support as well during this period of time. Other ways in which you can support the club are to shop and buy the goods and services of businesses that are our sponsors. We will be introducing a Seagulls Savers program, which you'll hear more about from the club in the coming days. Many people have been asking in recent days what the state level competitions will look like next year and what does that mean from a Williamstown Football Club perspective. Our board was very heartened in recent days to see the AFL come out on record stating their support for state level competition football and the importance it plays in the footballing landscape. I and our CEO Jason Reddick are in constant dialogue with the AFL as we discuss viable alternatives for what the competition may look like next year. At this stage, we don't have any further information on that, but what I can assure you of is the AFL values the Williamstown Football Club. They value us because our long-term track record of on-field performance, but also our off-field performance from a financial standpoint. As the President of the Williamstown Football Club, I'm committed to providing you, our members and key stakeholders, with access and insight to the club and the key decisions that we're having to make at the moment. Clearly this has changed from the typical ways we would interact, be they presidents' luncheons or dinners, or here at the ground watching matches. However, hopefully it's not too long in the distant future in which we're all back celebrating football together and what it means to us as a community.